What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another fun-filled episode of The Final Word here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network with your boy MattyB on the call. Dealing with a little something, a little under the weather tonight as we're getting into that time of the year, folks. So bear with me tonight, but I will not let anybody down. I will perform. The show must go on, as they say. So it's great to be here, regardless of what condition I'm in. I'm happy to be here, but we have a great show tonight. We have a fun show. We have an impactful show. We have a show that's meant to heal. It's a show that's meant for me to reach out to my fellow man and woman, my brothers and sisters in sports. I am here to find out if you're okay. Okay? And that's what I'm here to do. I know there's been a lot that you've been dealing with. And when I say you, I mean the homers out there, the ones who are reality challenged when it comes to the state of the sports teams in this town, the ones who cannot see past the green sunglasses or the red sunglasses or the orange and black sunglasses or the red, white, and blue sunglasses. You specifically, I am targeting you tonight because I am here and I care. And I want to know how you're doing. And I want to lend my support to you in any possible way that I can, because I don't want to see you just racking your brains every hour, every minute of every day, trying to come up with excuses to justify this and substandard play. And it's come to a fever pitch with your football team here in town. The Philadelphia Eagles are now dealing with the fallout of the Brandon Graham comments on the Brandon Graham show Monday night. Has subsequently walked those comments back. And today, A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts had a chance to talk to the media and address those topics. And I want to listen to their comments, because I think it's something we need to do together tonight so that I can assist you in the healing process. So we got that going on. We got your day in Philadelphia sports history. We got our hot stove check-in. A lot happening in the Major League Baseball front tonight. The Rule 5 draft occurred just a mere hours ago, and the Phillies were active. They selected about 7 players in the Rule 5 draft. The Phillies did, and they ended up trading one of them right away. So that was pretty much the highlight of their winter meetings. That and Jordan Romano, as some more deals kind of went down this over the last 24 hours. Juan Soto, the big one, happened a few days ago now. Max Fried is now a Yankee, as he signed a ridiculous 8-year contract with the Yankees. So he's out of the National League. That's good. But the Phillies really doing absolutely nothing. We're going to get into that a little bit as we try to kind of decipher. Again, the offseason is just starting. I'm not saying that the Phillies had to go and make a big splash, but remember the days when that's what the winter meetings were for, making those big splashes, those big trades, those big moves. Phillies doing absolutely nothing in the winter meetings is a little bit of a telltale sign. Rob Thompson came on and we talked to the MLB guys and gals and said that we're not actively shopping Alec Bohm, but people are actively calling us on him. Dave Dombrowski has doubled down and saying that he's happy with the ball club and that they're always looking to improve, but I think people are taking my comments at the end of the season out of context. So are the Phillies actually going to insult the Phillies nation by running this team back this year? In 2025, with the Mets substantially more improved, on paper at least, the Dodgers also reinforcing their position as the world champions. The Braves getting Spencer Strider back along with Acuna back. Are the Phillies really going to just start 2025 the way they ended 2024 with the same group? Can they actually get away with that? Is Phillies Nation going to allow that? So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then our 10 Days of Christmas movies continues here on the program. We're up to number 9, and I will reveal my number 9 all-time favorite Christmas movie. We started the countdown the other night with the It's a Wonderful Life as my 10 all-time favorite Christmas movie. And tonight we'll reveal number 9 as we work our way to number 1, which will be either on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, depending on what day of the week that I'm actually going to be on the air. I haven't decided yet what night I'm going to broadcast, either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. It's not going to be both of them. It'll be one or the other. So we'll get into that, and we'll also deal with the MattyB card review show segment, not the show, segment, and then it's of the night segment as we break down a prospect or a draft target or a spotlight player. So a lot of stuff to do on the program tonight. And again, I want to apologize up front as I'm under the weather. I'm a little sick, but I'm not going to let that slow me down because I'm a gamer. I'm a voice of the people. I am the people, and I need to be out front doing what I do. So we'll get through this together tonight. All right, let's get going with your day in Philadelphia sports history. Today, back in the ripe year of 1969. 1969. Late December back in 69. Remember that song? Well, in 69, I guess this is mid-December, right? On this night, the Flyers debuted, or the Flyers made a decision. They made, the Flyers ownership, Flyers game day hockey staff made a decision. And the decision was, we don't like the way things are going right now with the team. Things are stagnant. Things are humdrum. There's not enough energy. We need to change some things. So at the behest of Flyers management, the Flyers decided to not play the Star Spangled Banner before the game tonight. Instead, they pulled out a recording of Kate Smith singing God Bless America and played that in lieu of the Star Spangled Banner. And, of course, the rest is what they call history. From that point on, the Flyers won that game, and they went on to win just about every other game that they played at home featuring Kate Smith's God Bless America. 65-13-2 was the actual final record at the Spectrum when they listened to Kate Smith's God Bless America. And, of course, one of the most famous versions of that, if you have an opportunity to go watch it, is when Kate Smith would come and perform it live. And she did that a handful of times. The most famous has to be right before Game 6 of the 73 Stanley Cup Finals against Boston, the clinching game, where she sung it at the Spectrum right before the Flyers beat the Bruins 1-0 to win the Cup, the first of two. And, of course, over the years, Kate Smith has been kind of embattled in some sort of controversy, and they had a statue of her removed and put into a warehouse somewhere, and I believe that's where it sits today. And I'm a strong advocate of bringing that statue back out and putting it back where it belongs, back down there in Sports Statue Row next to Doug Peterson and Nick Foles down there. Because it's part of the Flyers' history. And if Danny B and Jonesy are serious about changing history, about honoring the past of the Flyers' glory, then bringing Kate Smith back has to be on their list. And I would like to know where they do stand on that, as the political culture or climate in this country has once again shifted. But on this night, back in 69, it all began when the Flyers decided to change things up a bit. Instead of playing the Star Spangled Banner, they went ahead with a recording of Kate Smith singing God Bless America. And that was your day in Philadelphia sports. Brought to you by the good folks here at the It's a Wrap Sports Network and all that we do for you, because we care about you. And that is what tonight's theme is, right? Caring about our fellow man. Caring about all of us. Me, personally, caring about you and about how you're feeling. And I'm specifically speaking to the homers tonight. Those individuals out there that are completely in denial about reality when it comes to the Philadelphia sports teams. I am here to help you because I know it's been challenging for you. I know it's been tough, especially in the last 24 hours. And I know you were dealt a gut punch by the Brandon Graham comments on Monday regarding the relationship of Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. I know it's been something that you have not been able to process well, but you're still trying to, and I give you credit for that. But when you're told by a person, I mean, how much more in the know could you not think Brandon Graham is. And when you're told by a person in the know that there's not a good relationship there between the two most, I guess, important people of this team, it was sort of a gut punch, as I said, and it's tough, and I get it, and I feel for you. And I'm here tonight specifically for you because I want to see you through this tough time. I want to make sure you make it to Sunday and beyond Sunday because it's the holidays, and God knows I don't want anybody not being able to participate in the holiday. So tonight I am going to try to help you, but at the same time also try to educate myself because I want to make sure that I am aware of everything that's happening. So I guess we can transition now to the Eagles. Fresh off of the 22-16, what would you call that? Win? Would you call that a win? A win over the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. It came out on Monday that potentially there's a problem with the quarterback and WR1, A.J. Brown. 1-11. A lot of ones in this mix. And all season long, some of us, I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to point fingers at people, but some of us have been pretty much consistently bringing up the Eagle passing offense as something that just didn't seem right. And I will take credit for that. I've been one of those individuals that have consistently been talking about how the Eagle pass game just didn't seem right all season long. And then from that outset, when that started, then you got the pushback. Oh, well, we're a run team. We're a run first team. Okay, that's great. You can be a run first team, but also work in a constant passing attack. Now, I am not one of those people that prescribe to Jalen Hurts throwing the football 45 times in a game. If it's not necessary, then don't do it. If he has to only pass 22 times for the Eagles to win, that's great. But those 22 passes that he's attempting, there's some glaring deficiencies about those 22 passes. You know, it's also come out that maybe during the bye week, when the Eagles were scuffling a bit at 2-2, the decision was made, well, multiple decisions were made. One, to focus on the ground attack, and two, to take the quarterback out of any type of situation that might put the ball in jeopardy. Now, whether or not that's by Nick Sirianni's design, Kellen Moore's design, or potentially Jalen Hurts' design, I don't know who, was the architect of that. But there has definitely been a change in the way Jalen Hurts approaches throwing the football. And one of those changes, and I guess this was sort of kind of evident prior to the bye week, was the fact that the Eagles did not throw the ball to the middle of the field. Worth a damn. I mean, they haven't been throwing the ball to the middle of the field all season. And I've actually taken pen to paper with it all year and have tracked it. 395 pass attempts through 13 games so far this season, and only 42 of them have been to the middle of the field, or 45 have been to the middle of the field. Now, that's not a stat that occurred yesterday. That's not specifically for week 13 or week 14. This is throughout the whole season that I've been looking at this. And when you kind of add it up, you have the numbers say that 93% of your passing attack is to the sidelines and 7% of your passing attack is to the middle of the field. That's not going to work. Okay. And the first question when those numbers that are so tilted come out, you just have to ask yourself, well, why? What is the reasoning? Why are they not allowing Jalen Hurts to throw to the middle of the field? And is it because they're afraid of the turnovers? Is it because they're afraid that he can't execute those types of tight throws because everything to the middle is somewhat designed as a timing play? Sometimes you got to push a ball into a tight window. Sometimes you got to push a ball at the particular moment in time to make sure that it gets to where it's got to be in a nanosecond. And because Kellen Moore's playbook was predicated on those, right? Wasn't that what we were told this summer? The selling point of Kellen Moore's offense was timing patterns, slants, quick hitters, a lot of motion, a lot of stuff to confuse the defense. I guess some of that stuff also was designed to confuse the quarterback too, because largely agreed or understood or implied is that Jalen Hurts is not running Kellen Moore's playbook. He is running the Moriani playbook, a combination of Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni's playbook, which a large part of that playbook doesn't have slant patterns to the middle. Now, why is that? Obviously, we know the reason, and we know the answer to that. It's because they don't feel comfortable in whether or not he could learn it in time or that he could execute it. So these things were set in motion long before the events of Sunday. And on Sunday, though, in that very frustrating offensive performance by the Eagles, it kind of all came out. Now, if you don't believe me that I've been talking about this for weeks, go back and run the tape, man. Every week on the on the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn, I talk about that stuff. Every week we discuss it. Every week we go over it. And this has been going on since about week 5, I would say. Week 5 or 6. We've been pretty much hammering on the passing attack. Before it was kind of a joke, funny. Now it's kind of entered a different area. And so on Sunday, here on this program, we highlighted one specific play to kind of illustrate Jalen Hurts' inability to throw to the middle of the field. And that was that touchdown right at the end of the first half on the kind of curl pattern. I guess it was a curl. Would you call it a curl to the corner of the end zone with Devontae Smith down there on the 5-yard line or 4-yard line, whatever it was? The play where Dotson was very close to committing a pick, which sprung A.J. Brown open for a slant to the middle of the field for a very easy touchdown pass. But Jalen Hurts, not that Jalen Hurts didn't even take that option. Jalen Hurts was never even looking at A.J. Brown the entire time. The entire play, Jalen Hurts' eyes were on Devontae Smith. And we broke the play down and we talked about it. Well, apparently that play and I guess other things prompted A.J. Brown to kind of sound off to the media at the end of the game on Sunday and basically said, when am I going to get mine? I'm tired of not getting thrown to. Just like we warned that he might do when things weren't going his way. Now, I honestly thought that wasn't going to start happening until they lost or were losing. The fact that he's spouting off about not getting the football while they're winning, that's a whole other level of debauchery that I don't know what the Eagles are going to do about that. I could see they're losing 3 or 4 games in a row and he's not getting his. Then he could be like, hey, come on. I mean, I could help us not lose. But they're winning and he's starting to complain. So I don't know what to tell you there. That's a whole other different level right there. Then on Monday in the Brandon Graham show, Brandon Graham went on a rant that said, actually, you know what? Let's listen to it. Here it is. This is Brandon Graham's comments from his show on Monday night, courtesy of 94 WIP.
The person that's complaining need to be accountable. And I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he noticed. I don't know the whole story, but I know that one is trying. And I mean, 11 could be a little better with how he responds to things. And they was friends before this. It's like, man, but things have changed. And I understand that because life happens. But it's the business side that we have to make sure that we don't let the personal get in the way of the business. And that's what we got to do better as right now, because we know it's an issue. Everybody's seeing some things, but we need to be able to talk things out as men. You know what I'm saying? But we need to let personal stuff go and let's get right for this game, because, man, it's like a lot of stuff, most of the time it's just a conversation that just need to be had. But the person with the problem got to want to talk to the person other than others. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
All right, that was Brandon Graham. It's courtesy of the Brandon Graham show on 94 WIP every weekday or every day after the game. Now, whether or not you agree with the way Brandon Graham presented that information, are you one of those purists that come from the school of whatever happens in that locker room stays in that locker room, which I come from? Or are you part of that group, that people that says, listen, if there's a problem, Brandon Graham has every right in the world to speak about it. But again, I'm not sitting here, and this is, I don't think and what's as funny is because some homers have kind of deflected this whole thing back and blaming Brandon Graham for bringing this up, which is funny because the problem existed whether or not Brandon Graham addressed it or not. So the problem would probably still maybe actually maybe not get solved. Maybe now it'll get solved because it's public attention. So Brandon Graham might want to be applauded about what he did because it might have saved the season. Because if he didn't bring it up, the problem festers and it gets worse and worse. And, maybe it creates a problem, a real problem that cost the Eagles the season. So, before you're quick to judge Brandon Graham, you might have to wait and see how this thing plays out. But Brandon Graham has essentially walked back his comments since then by basically saying, I shouldn't have said anything because I didn't know all the ins and outs or X's and O's. And I agree. I come from that school of thought that I wouldn't have personally brought that up. It's none of my concern. It doesn't involve me. Why am I doing that? And especially in this town. I mean, did he not know, sitting up there in front of these fans, saying that the quarterback and the wide receiver are not friends anymore and that are not getting along or have a beef or whatever you want to say? If he honestly did think that was going to become a major, major issue, where's he been all these years? So you got to kind of look at, there's a lot of things we can go through here and try to get into the head of Brandon Graham a little bit too, maybe. But it was done. It was said. Now, instead of walking it back, man, just be a man about it and be like, you know what? I screwed up. Shouldn't have said anything, but it's out there now. Let's deal with it. But whatever you think that should have been done, it happened. So they had day off yesterday, and today they came back to work to prepare for the game against the Steelers. And this is what the quarterback and receiver were both asked questions. AJ Brown went on a 7-minute rant about it. I'm not going to play you all 7 minutes, but I do want to play this, Jalen Hurts, some of both of their responses. So here's Jalen Hurts on the whole thing.
We're good. We're good.
Did you two talk after Brandon's comments?
We've spoken. I think in the end, Brandon, BG, we calling him Brandon, BG knows he spoke out of place, and he knows that. So.
What was your reaction when I'm sure your phone started blowing up and that was going around? What was your reaction to it?
It's about the team in the end. I think overall, that's where my focus is. I think that's where everyone's focus is at heart, and trying to do what's best for the team. And ultimately, everyone cares about the team's success. And so, whenever something happens, whatever it is, I look at myself first, because everything starts and ends with me. And I take great pride in what I do. I take great pride in the responsibilities that I have when I am to the city and to this team. And I challenge myself on that. I'm my best when I'm my biggest critic, and I have to continue to challenge myself on being critical on some things so I can be better. And in the end, everyone expresses themselves differently, and I respect that, and I accept how anyone shows up. But ultimately, I look at myself first, and I say, how can I be better? What do I need to do to be better, and ultimately play at the highest level I can play? And that's what it takes to play complimentary football at its fullest. And so that's what the goal is. Everybody's coming in here. I just told the team, everybody dominate their box. Everyone, including myself. And that's what it's about. So I don't want to get lost in the sauce of everything else when the main thing is to come out here, go through prep, do what we need to do, and go out there and play.
So what's
all right. What? What the hell is he talking about? Listen, why don't I have somebody asking why he doesn't throw the ball to the middle of the field? Well, I would rather that question be answered or asked whether than why are you not throwing the ball to the middle of the field? Are you afraid of timing patterns? Have you learned how to read defenses yet? Do you feel bad by stealing $1.6 million a game with your quarterback play this year? Those are the questions that I want to ask. I don't really care about the questions about him and Brandon Graham or him and AJ Brown and Brandon Graham's love triangle. I don't care less. And that's what this show is about tonight. It's about me reaching out to those homers out there that actually care about this type of stuff, that actually are sitting at home right now, sticking pins inside their AJ Brown dolls or sticking pins in their Jalen Hurts dolls or pins in their Brandon Graham dolls. Because guess what? And hopefully I'm not breaking some news. And if I am, and if it hurts you, I don't mean to. But all is not always going to be great here in Philadelphia with our sports teams. And the fact that you can look at the lack of championships and the absence of hardware as a major point why that tells you that things aren't great, because those are the things you should be concerned about, not the personal relationships between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts on a football team. Who cares about that? Not everybody, not 53 of those people are all kumbaya on each other down the streets of South Philadelphia every night. They're not. Right? These are 53 individuals who have 53 different personalities, come from 53 different types of situations and cultures and all that. They're all not going to be best friends. Who cares? And the fact that we as a fan base, and I say we, I mean the homers, the delusional, reality deprived homers out there that are actually concerned that they're not best friends, that this somehow changes things, is just ridiculous to me. I don't really care if they like each other off the field. It's what they do on the field is what concerns me. And I don't come out on Jalen Hurts' side here. I don't come out on A.J. Brown's side here. I come out on the Philadelphia Eagles side. Have they been winning over the last 9 weeks? Yes. In spite of Jalen Hurts' performance, yes. A.J. Brown has gotten his. He got paid. He gets his on the field. But the rest of this stuff is ridiculous. As far as what Brandon Graham did, yeah, I'll back him. I'll back you up on that one. You don't talk out of school. You don't. But the fact that we're making such a big deal over this, and I don't blame the media either. It's the media's job to inform people. What people do with that information is completely on them. So don't stop that. Keep it going, man. I want to know all of it. I want to know every last little secret. That's my own personal thing. But I don't care if they're not best friends. I don't care if they love each other or if they hang out with each other. I don't care. But we are so hyper-focused on that type of stuff. The homers are. We're not hyper-focused on the stuff that matters, winning a Super Bowl. We're hyper-focused on whether or not Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown are best friends. Who gives a damn? What are we, 13-year-old girls? And no offense to the 13-year-old girls that might be watching. I'm not trying to offend you. But who cares? Who really cares? So that was AJ's response, or sorry, Jalen's response. Let's play a little bit of AJ's. I ain't playing 7 minutes of it. Hell no. But I'll just play a little bit of AJ's response.
AJ, obviously there's been a lot of talk, especially from Brandon Graham, about your relationship with Jalen. Do you just want to offer any clarity on what's going on there?
Yeah, BG is just being BG. He's emotional. In that case, he just misspoke. Me and Jalen are good. So it's BG. Everybody loves BG. He's speaking from the heart. He's just giving his perception on something from the outside. So.
He's around you guys, all the time, though. Could you see where there might be a misperception based off of?
I think that's what everybody. I think that's what the world did. They perceived what I said about passing and felt like it was an attack on Jalen, and I think that's what he did. Me and Jalen relationship is personal, so yeah, I can see that.
Have you spoken to Jalen?
Your relationship with Jalen right now?
Me and his relationship are good. So.
Have you spoken?
AJ?
Sorry to say that.
Does any of this impact football?
I don't know, man. We're trying to go out here and do our job each and every Sunday. It's no personal or business. Like I said, BG is just speaking, and he just kept speaking, and it's whatever.
When you mentioned passing, a lot of people obviously took that as a criticism on Jalen. What did you mean by passing?
When he asked the question of what the offense can do better, obviously it's not running the ball. He's about to win MVP, like literally. So what other thing we do on offense? We have to pass the ball, and that can go into protection. That go picking up a block. That go to us getting open quicker, being on the same page. Jalen reads or whatever the case may be. It's a collect group of things, and I think they just kind of just spend it that way. And and I said that for a reason. Honestly, because we went to the Super Bowl and lost. We tried again next year. It was 10-10 and whatever our record is, and it was a landslide. And here we go again. And it's something that we can correct right now while we have the opportunity. And that's why I was bringing the awareness or bringing it to everybody's attention. It's something we can focus on. We know we can.
It's 2 minutes of a 7-minute rant. I don't know. I'm not going to sit there. I'm not even going to watch 7 minutes of that nonsense. But listen, he's got a point. Okay, he's got a point. The offensive passing attack has not been good all season long. Now, whether or not he's actually meaning what he says by, I just want to make sure that we're operating on all kinds of different levels and doing what we have to do to go win a Super Bowl. It's not really about me. It's about the passing attack. Whether or not you believe that, that's open for interpretation, and I'm not going to dwell into that. I think it's a bunch of hooey, and of course it's about him. But I do agree on basis of what he's saying about the passing attack. Yes, the team has become extremely one-layered. Now, whether or not that's by design, that's by scheme, or if that's by limitation, that remains to be debated. And it could mean you can make an argument for all three of those factors. Yes, the team prior to the bye week, Jalen Hurts was struggling with passing. The turnovers were out of control. They were not necessarily utilizing their strengths, which was Saquon Barkley. Jalen was not ready. Now, whether or not it goes back to the playbook stuff, that he couldn't digest the playbook in time, and whether or not they didn't do their homework, and they brought in an offensive coordinator and an offensive scheme that was too much for their quarterback to handle. That's on the Eagles. That's on your fraud GM, Howie Roseman. Whatever the case is, it wasn't working in the first 4 weeks, and it was evident by a 2-2 record and barely getting out of that Saints game with a win. Way back when. So they made adjustments, and that adjustment was to run the ball a lot. Was to ride on Saquon Barkley. Did they think it was going to work this way? Probably not, but it had, and Saquon's having an MVP-like season. But the byproduct of that has been the passing game. Now, some people will tell you, now these are the real homers. These are the real sick homers, the real ones. Will tell you that it's rhythm, that Jalen Hurts can't get into a rhythm. Can you get into the rhythm when it goes to his ATM and pulls out that $1.6 million a game money? Is he in a rhythm then when he goes and he puts in his pin, beep, 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 and then and all those 20s and 100s come spitting out of that ATM for 1 day's worth of work for him? I bet you he doesn't have a problem getting in the rhythm for that. So I ain't buying that. That falls. If you're going to tell me it's rhythm, then you might as well pay you might as well be stopping down and seeing my good friend, Big Al. That's right, at Big Al's Excuse Emporium, servicing the homers and the reality-starved individuals of the Delaware Valley since the summer of 2024. They are here to help you with your homerism. Go down and see Big Al at Big Al's Excuse Emporium today. So don't give me the rhythm nonsense, all right? I don't know what it is, but the passing hasn't been there for about 2 seasons now. Now, getting back to A.J. Brown. Is it just me, or is it a coinky-dink that isn't this around the same time last year that he started pulling his shit too? Wasn't it around that time? It was after the Seattle game, right? The Rogue game, but that's around now, isn't it? We're coming up to that time frame. And so, what does he have to do this once a year? Is it part of his ritual that he's got to spout off to the media every year around this time? What does he have to make sure they know he's still there? I don't understand why he's don't forget, he's the one who started all this anyway. So again, the bottom line for me is this: when it comes to this situation, who cares? That's really what it comes down to me. Who cares? Who cares if A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are best friends or not? Right? I don't care. We got to figure out what's wrong with the passing attack. And it's not, where's Devontae Smith in all this? Why doesn't he ever say anything? He just puts his head down and goes to work. That's the kind of guy I want. And Brandon Graham, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said about what Brandon did. You don't air that type of stuff out in public. It's locker room things. That stuff needs to stay in house. So just a really, really messed up situation. It really is. Barbara, how are you doing? Hurts will make it look like Hurts wants to look. He definitely has an ego. Yes. Yeah, he does. He absolutely does have an ego, Barbara. And it is, and it's funny because his play is not backing that up. Not since 2022, it hasn't. 2 weeks ago, everyone praised BG as a great Eagles leader, and now he's a liar. No, Barbara, I don't think he lied. And again, that's what the homers want you to. That's what the homers are to see, Barbara. You're falling into the trap of the homers. They're saying that he lied. No, he didn't lie. He just spoke out. He spoke out of turn. He's talking the truth. His little walk back, that was a political move spurred on probably by Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni to try to do some damage control. But no, he didn't lie. He didn't lie at all. He threw out some information that he wasn't supposed to. But the homers want you to believe that he lied because, again, they need to go to bed at night somehow thinking that Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown are best friends, and that actually has to be in order for them to go to bed at night. I don't. Our priorities are so whacked and where they are. It's amazing. Hurts is full of himself because he's not a very good quarterback. It's a fact at this point. Preaching to the choir, Barbara. $1.6 million a game he makes. $1.6 million a game to be a game manager. What is it they say? He's got the yips. That's some real expensive yips, boy. Let me have those yips. Can I get paid $1.6 million a game and have those yips and still walk away with the check? Does he get evaluated every game? Is there like somebody sitting out there saying, you know what? You only earned 200 grand today. You only earned 500 grand today. You only earned 150, 100. I'm only going to give you 50 today. No, man. He walks out of there with that 7-8 figure number at every game, regardless of what he does or he doesn't. I agree. He's very full of himself. And Barbara says, BG is not the media. No, he's not the media, but have you not heard some of the homers out there, Barbara? I know you listen to them. The homers are blaming the media for this. They are. They're actually blaming the media for starting this. But you're absolutely right. Now, what I have not heard yet is whether or not they're saying, well, this is BG trying to lay down the foundation for life after football, and he's starting to do his media thing here. I don't know if that's been brought up. I haven't heard that yet, but you're right, Barbara. BG's not the media. The media did not start this. The media is running with it as they should. So again, homers need to get some help, man. Look at Dave Sparty. Loves the Eagles more than even Phil. I love that Emporium. It's hilarious. Oh, Barbara, thank you. It's fun. It was very fun, and I want to thank Al for allowing me to submerge his name every time I bring that up. But no, it's all in good fun. I don't know, Barbara, if you ever heard the origin story of the Excuse Emporium. It has something to do with the Phillies. And when the things began to go off the rails this summer, and comments that Al made about why. But yeah, it's good stuff. At Big Al's Excuse Emporium, serving all your reality challenged Philadelphia sports needs since the summer of 2024. So anyway, we haven't talked about the Steelers. And tomorrow on the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn at a new 4:15 p.m. airtime. We're going to be going on the air at 4:15 tomorrow. Me and Kyle will sit down. And I'm going to promise you this. We're going to bring up the Brandon Graham stuff. We have to. But I'm not going to spend 20 minutes talking about it. I'm going to spend about 5. And then we're going to move on to the football game because that's what really matters. And whether or not the Eagles are beginning to kind of show their cracks. And we'll see if that is the case because some important things came out of that Panther game that we spoke about already. And I'll re-bring up, is the blueprint out there now of how to beat the Eagles? Are our teams now figuring it out? Were the Baltimore Ravens, even though they lost, did they provide a service to the NFL by providing that blueprint? Lane Johnson said it after the Ravens game. The Ravens were calling out their offensive plays on the line of scrimmage. They knew what they were going to run. So is the offense now been kind of compromised? Defensively, the Eagles played probably the worst game of the year next to the Tampa game. Was that a blip in the radar? Was that the yips? Or is that now something that's going to follow through? Playing a very good Pittsburgh Steelers team who has not won in Philadelphia since 1965. And we've never beat Russell Wilson, by the way. So Steelers have never won here since 1965, and the Eagles have never beat Russell Wilson. So something's going to give, right? Something's got to give on Sunday. So we'll see. So we'll get all that going here tomorrow at 4:15. The Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn as 94 WIP midday show producer. Kyle Quinn joins me every week to break down the upcoming Eagles game. We look back a little bit on the previous game and we get into the game at hand. 5 years me and Kyle have been doing that together. So we will continue that on Thursday afternoon. So cannot wait for that. Al wasn't worried about the Phillies, I remember. Yeah, he wasn't, but the Excuse Emporium was born from the ashes of comments that Al made after the London series. After the London series, I think, no. So they went to London, and then I went to Boston, I believe, after that, and then Baltimore, something like that. Somewhere in between, I think, Boston and Baltimore. After London and in between Baltimore, he made an excuse that the team was struggling because they were tired. He started saying that the reason why they might be losing is because they haven't seen their mommies in 10 days. They haven't slept in their own beds in 10 days. They've been taking showers with shower shoes on for 10 days. They're just road weary. He was pulling everything out other than their poor play and trying to analyze that. He was talking about, time changes and airplane rides and, not seeing their wives and kids and all this other stuff. So I was listening it on the way home one night from work, and I was like, you know what? I cannot let that go. So I think I had the post-game show like the next night, and from there, that's where the Excuse Emporium was born. So in a nutshell, Barbara, that's the origin story of the Excuse Emporium. Mike Tomlin's playoff record is 8-10, and the Steelers haven't won a playoff game in 8 years. That's mediocre. It is mediocre, but also Mike Tomlin has not ever had a less than 500 season as a head coach either. And if you recall, Barbara, and you might not. Last year, when the wheels were rattling and wobbling off this team, I came up with a plan to fix it, and Mike Tomlin was part of Plan A for me. This was my plan for next season, which would have been this year. I wanted Adam Peters, who is doing an amazing job as the GM of the Washington Redskins right now. He at the time was the assistant GM in San Francisco. And I wanted Mike Tomlin. Because remember, Mike Tomlin didn't have he was a dead man walking. He didn't have an extension. He was on the last year of a contract year last year. I wanted Mike Tomlin to come here. I still want Mike Tomlin to come here. I still want this combination. Can we make that happen? Look at that old Talking Philly Sports and MattyB logo. But yeah, that was my plan A to fix the Eagles last year, if you guys remember. But yeah. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting game. I'm looking forward to it. I think the game is it a must-win game. And now here's what's going to happen on Sunday, because now Kellen Moore has doubled down by saying essentially he needs to do a better job to find number 11 more opportunities to get the ball. So do the Eagles change their offensive approach based on this situation? Because that's kind of what scares me too. Right? I'm not the biggest fan of the way they're running the offense. I think eventually it's going to come back and bite them on the ass. I think when you throw the ball only throw the ball 7% to the middle of the field, you're not going to win eventually. So naturally speaking, I don't think it's going to work, but I'm afraid now that they're going to expedite the process by putting Jalen Hurts back in a position where he cannot succeed, by putting more pressure on him to throw the football. And this goes back to, again, the homers out there this show is designed completely around. I'm here for you. I'm here to support you. It's okay to not have an elite quarterback here. We don't have an elite quarterback. We have a good quarterback. I'll give him that. He's a good quarterback. He's not elite. It's okay to say that. You guys don't want to admit to that. You guys want to still think he's elite. He's not elite. He's good. All right. But if we try to put him in positions to make him elite, he's going to fail. And it's going to come at the highest levels of failure for this football team. So if we try to keep making him something that he's not, he's absolutely fantastic in this role right now as a game manager. Is it enough for the Eagles to win a Super Bowl like this? We'll see. I don't think they're going to win by not throwing the ball to the middle of the field. But is it enough for them to win a Super Bowl for Jalen Hurts the way he's playing right now? Is that enough for them to win offensively a Super Bowl? It might be. It might not be. It all depends on if teams can shut down Saquon. Then it all kind of feeds off of that, right? Or if the Eagle defense can go out and somehow find a way to shut down Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, what's his name? Goff. A lot of factors kind of add into that, right? But it can work. We've seen it work over the last 11 games or 9 games with 9-game winning streak, right? We've seen it work. So why change that? And now hyper focusing on giving A.J. Brown the football, is that going to create more problems than it will fix them? Because then you're going to put the ball back in Jalen Hurts' hands to try to force plays that he can't make to begin with. He's going to start throwing interceptions again. He's going to start getting bigger yips than he had before. And it's going to create more issues for this team at the worst possible time of the season. So Kellen Moore, by his double down statement, by saying basically I got to find a way to get 11 the ball more, that scares me. That scares me the most about this whole entire situation. Is that the Eagles are seemingly going to scrap the offense and go back to the old offense by putting Jalen Hurts in a position to make plays, which he can't make. And the lack of the interceptions. He hasn't thrown an interception in 7, 8 games, something like that. People are now saying, well, is it because they're taking that situation out of his hands? Yeah, they are. Absolutely. He's not making any risky throws anymore. At the first sign of danger, he's dumping the ball off. At the first sign of danger, he's throwing the ball away. At the first sign of danger, he's either trying to run or take a sack, one or the other. He doesn't do anything that, rock the boat, so to speak. Does that change now that the media, the national media, local media, everybody and their mother is going to be watching him and seeing what he does with the football? Is that going to change things? And is that de facto derail the Eagle season? It's all great stuff, man, that the media created. And as we move down to the stretch run of the season, we'll have to keep an eye on. So Sunday, Eagles and Steelers from the Link. Be there or be square. They don't trust Hurts to throw it more than he is capable of doing it. Yes. But is it Barbara, do they not trust him because he's incapable? Or is he incapable of not being trusted? We're going to do some psychological stuff. They don't trust him because he's not capable of doing it. I agree. Square peg and round hole, yes. I guess maybe the answer everyone's looking for is bring Shane Steichen back, right? Let's bring Shane Steichen back. He has success with him. Let's do that. Maybe it returns him to that 2022 Eagles MVP caliber flair. They could make a Hallmark movie out of this Eagles season. Absolutely. Absolutely, Barbara. They could. Barbara and her Hallmark Christmas movies. All right. So yeah, Eagles, Steelers, and then don't forget tomorrow at 4:15. I played the wrong one. Tomorrow at 4:15. Let me put this up here. There's the intro. The Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn, the quintessential in Eagles pregame show entertainment. You cannot find it anywhere but here on It's a Wrap Sports, where me and Kyle will break down the Eagles-Steelers game. And then on Sunday, when the game goes final, you may need to make sure you're over here at It's a Wrap because we got you covered with the Birds Flyby, the quintessential and Eagle post-game coverage, hosted by your boy Sal G, and somewhat regularly co-hosted with by Big Al. So make sure you're over here at the end of the game checking out Eagles-Steelers. And at the end of every Flyers game, we got you covered as well with the Clear the Ice program. Tomorrow night, the Flyers are back at it against the Detroit Red Wings, and your boy Sal, aforementioned Sal G, will have you on the coverage. I am back on Saturday, and I will take you through the Wild game as we are rolling through all this stuff. So there you go. Good stuff, man. And Barbara says she'll try to pop in. We would appreciate that, Barbara. All right, so let's transition now. We're going to go to baseball. I don't think we're going to talk much hockey. I think I pretty much covered most of it last night with the Flyers. It was pretty cut and dry. Good win for them yesterday. Morgan Frost, I know Travis Konecny has garnered a lot of attention for his play last night with the 2 goals. But I'm having a hard time not giving player of the game honors to Morgan Frost, especially based on what that last goal, that 5th goal, the goal where he basically did it all. With the exception of the Mitchkov pass. I mean, everything else Morgan Frost did. So I'm torn whether or not to give that. I give player of the game honors to Morgan Frost. I think he definitely deserved it with everything that was going on around him. what happened on Saturday with the, overskating or Sunday overskating the puck, all that. Morgan Frost really answered the bell on last night. So it was a very encouraging win against the Columbus Blue Jackets. And on Thursday, tomorrow night, the Flyers will return home against the Red Wings in games that the Flyers can win. Last week, those games were against opponents that the Flyers really, I guess, were not matched up well with. But they still could have won those games. The Flyers could have walked out of those 3 games last week with at least 5 points. At least, and that really pisses me off that they didn't. But yeah, so let's move on to baseball. We got a lot to talk about on baseball. A lot to talk about. Winter meetings are over in Dallas, Texas. Juan Soto's a Met. What's his face is a Yankee, the pitcher. Why can't I remember his name? Just talked about it. Why can't I remember his name? The Braves pitchers. Now, we'll bring it up. The Rule 5 draft was today. The Phillies made one move. They signed a relief pitcher, Jordan Romano, from the Blue Jays, who had injury issues. And they haven't really done anything else. And will now continue and focus on the rest of the offseason, as we are now 64 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting the Clearwater for the start of the 2025 MLB spring training. 64 days away from the start of baseball. Can you believe that? It's right around the corner. But yeah, so as I said, let's get into some hot stove stuff here on the network. We like to mess around with the hot stove, and let's warm it up, and let's go with the It's a Wrap Sports Hot Stove Report. All right, let's get into the hot stove because there's a lot to talk about. I don't know if I'm going to go pick by pick through the Rule 5, but we will talk about some of these signings. Frankie Montez now is on his way to the Mets. 7-11 last year for the Brewers with a 4.84 ERA and 148 strikeouts. He's a quality bottom of the rotation type of guy that we're now going to have to deal with. So he's now a Met. Darren McGoffin, the starting pitcher, formerly of the Marlins, is now in Minnesota. Was 0-0 with a 6.21 ERA and 28 strikeouts. He signed a minor league contract with the Twins. Drew Pomerantz did not play for San Francisco last year, but was dealing with injuries, didn't really play at all. He went to Seattle on a minor league deal. Grant Hartwig, no saves and a 6.75 ERA and 4 strikeouts for the Mets, stays with the Mets on a minor league deal. Luis Severino is now on his way from the Mets to the A's as he signed a 2-year deal. Alex Ramirez of the Mets stays with the Mets on a minor league deal. Tanner Rainey, no saves and a 4.76 ERA and 44 strikeouts, is going from Washington to Pittsburgh on a minor league contract. Edward Olivares, who took a 224 batting average, 5 home runs and 23 RBIs, is now on his way to the Mets on a minor league deal. A good utility piece there for the Mets. Austin Nola is returning to the National League, spending his year in the American League with Kansas City. Signed a minor league deal with the Rockies as he returns to the National League. Dakota Hudson, remember when he was good? Like really good? It was 2-12 last year with a 6.17 ERA and 49 strikeouts. Is going from the Rockies to the Angels on a minor league deal. Connor Capel, the outfielder, 250, no homers and no RBIs. Going to Atlanta from Cincinnati on a minor league deal. Jake Brentz, the right-hand pitcher, going from Kansas City to Tampa on a minor league deal. Matthew Boyd, 2-2 with a 2.72 ERA and 46 strikeouts last year for the Guardians, is now a Cub on a 2-year contract. Hescore Yona from the Braves is now a Twin on a minor league deal. And Jordan Romano, 8 saves, 6.59 ERA, 13 strikeouts. Multiple trips to the IL this year due to shoulder and arm problems. Signed a 1-year deal with the Phillies. And Junior Marte, folks, the right-hand pitcher who was released by the Phillies earlier this offseason, who had no saves and a 6.92 ERA and 23 strikeouts, is now a Seattle Mariner as he signed a minor league contract with the Mariners. So Big Al, I know your heart is being, bud. And I'm here for you, man. If you want to talk about it, Junior Marte is now a Mariner. I understand, and I'm here for you. The Mets continue to bolster their starting rotation. Clay Holmes, not their rotation, but but they're pitching. Clay Holmes, 30 saves and 3.14 ERA and 68 strikeouts with the Yankees last year, while he's now a Met. I think they want to make him a starter, though. I think the Mets want to make him a starter, but he signed a 3-year deal with the Mets. Blake Tryon, the relief pitcher for the Dodgers, stays in LA on a 2-year deal. Gary Sanchez, the catcher, is going from Milwaukee to Baltimore on a 1-year contract. Nick Sandlin, 1 save and a 3.75 ERA and 68 strikeouts for Cleveland, is now in Toronto thanks to a trade for second baseman Andres Jimenez and first baseman Spencer Horowitz and a couple of minor league players. So a trade that went down between Cleveland and Toronto. Luis Ortiz is now in Cleveland from Pittsburgh, as he was involved in a trade that sent Michael Kennedy and a minor league pitcher to Cleveland, or back to Pittsburgh. Sorry. Tyler O'Neill. This really kind of hurts me. 241 batting average, 31 homers, 61 RBIs for the Red Sox last year. Is now an Oriole for 3 years. Love to have had him. Spencer Horowitz, we already talked about him. We already talked about Andre Jimenez. Michael Conforto is now a Dodger as he goes from the Giants to the Dodgers on a 1-year deal. Alex Cobb, the starting pitcher, 2-1 of a 2.76 ERA and 10 strikeouts. Injuries shortened season, is now a Tiger as he goes on a 1-year deal. Chapman going from Pittsburgh to Boston on a 1-year deal. Willie Adams takes his 251 batting average, 32 homers, and 112 RBIs to San Francisco on a huge 7-year contract. So he's leaving Milwaukee. Greg Workman going to Chicago from Detroit in the Rule 5 draft. So we're all going to talk some Rule 5. I'm not going to get into much of it. Jacob Webb, 2 saves, 3.02 ERA, and 58 strikeouts, is now with the Rangers on a 1-year deal, going from Baltimore to Texas. Michael Vasil, the right-hand pitcher for the Mets, was taken by the Phillies in the Rule 5 draft and then immediately dumped over to the Tampa Bay Rays for cash. So Mike Vasil, who actually had some pretty strong numbers for AAA Syracuse Mets last year, looking forward to seeing him maybe compete for a number 5 starting position for the Phillies. Well, he's going to be doing that with with Tampa, as he was dumped immediately after being acquired. So there you go. See ya. Michael Tauchman, 248 batting average, 7 homers, and 29 RBIs for the Cubs, is now going to Chicago, to the White Sox. So he stays in Chicago, just switch teams. And of course, the big move of the year so far, Juan Soto, 15-year contract to go from the Yankees to the Mets. Big time needle mover type contract. Garrett Crochet, this move was announced a few hours ago, was traded from the Chicago White Sox to the Boston Red Sox for minor leaguer Kyle Teal, outfielder Brandon Montgomery, and about 7 other players, as Crochet is now on his way to Boston. He was 6-12 last year with a 3.58 ERA and 209 strikeouts. And no. I'm glad the Phillies were not involved in that. That was a terrible move. Boston gave up about 7 prospects. I do not want to be part of that. No, I don't want to be part of that. The Phillies also picked up or lost Eberson Castellano, the right-hand pitcher, was taken by Minnesota in the Rule 5 draft. So there's pertinent. That was the only Philly farmhand the Phillies lost in the Rule 5. So that's good news. Shane Bieber is staying in Cleveland on a 1-year deal. And that's it. There you go. You are now completely up to date on the hot stove. Now the Max Fried move, it's not been official yet because he's got to take his physical. But he is going to, let's see. Frosty has been playing better, so is Tippett. Yes, Barbara, they definitely have. Crochet is in Boston. Phillies are status quo. Yep. Listen, what the Red Sox gave up, I'm not prepared to do that, Barbara. Max Fried is on the Mets. No, Max Fried is on the Yankees. He signed an 8-year deal with the Yankees, not the Mets. So Max Fried is out of the American League, or out of the National League, on the American League. So that's where he went. He went to the Yankees. Yes, he's on the Yankees. Tyler O'Neill's a hunk. I wouldn't know, Barbara. But there you have it. There's your most up-to-date stats on the hot stove, as the Phillies have done nothing. We got a relief pitcher that may or may not be able to close, and we picked up Vasil from the Mets in the AAA in the Rule 5 draft, and then immediately shipped him off to Tampa. Now the Phillies also selected in the Rule 5 draft Eduardo Lopez, the outfielder from Boston's High A program, Emmanuel Mejia, a right-hand pitcher from Tampa's AA program, Augustus Calderon, a right-hand pitcher from the St. Louis Cardinals A level, Elo Pardo, an outfielder in the in the Baltimore Orioles system, Gabriel Barbosa, right-hand pitcher with the Yankees low-level A, and Isis DPD, infielder with the Pirates Dominican. Woo, say that 1,000 times fast. Summer League team. So there's the Phillies Rule 5 selections, and they traded Mike Bassel already to Tampa. They only ended up losing Eberson Castellano, who actually wasn't he? I believe he was one of our minor league players of the year last year. So he is now on his way to. But I say he's going Minnesota. Yeah, nobody wants Marsh. Nobody wants Marsh or Bohm. And I'm concerned, Barbara. I know we got a lot of time. You got 64 days. What is it? Is it 64? 64 days. So pitchers and catchers report. But come on. Are they really going to do this to us? Are we really going to run this thing back? Are they going to throw out Jordan Romano and maybe re-sign Jeff Hoffman and call it a done deal? I mean, is that really potentially what could happen? The outfield will still be in shambles. I cannot believe that that's what they're going to do, but we'll see. We shall see. All right, let's now go to the of the night segment here on the program, where we talk about either a Flyers prospect, Phillies prospect, a MLB draft target, and an NHL draft target, or we spotlight a player from the Phillies or Flyers. All right, and here we are of the night segment. We are still into the Flyers pretty heavily, as things will change in January, where we'll start pivoting away from the Flyers prospects. We'll still be talking about them, but we're going to incorporate the MLB draft targets. We're going to incorporate the NHL draft targets. We're going to incorporate Phillies spotlight players as we get ready for the 2025 season. We're going to do everything except for talking about Phillies prospects. That's all that we're not going to talk about starting in January, but it's going to start getting hot and heavy as we're going to incorporate the other things starting in January, after the holidays, after the World Juniors up in Ottawa, so we can get a better handle on the NHL prospects or NHL draft targets, stuff like that. So we are focusing solely on the Flyers right now for another couple of weeks, but then it's going to be a mishmash of guys every night. So here we go. Your Flyers prospect of the night in the of the night segment is the beast of a defenseman, Matto Man, the right-hand defenseman for the St. John's Sea Dogs of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, coming in at an astounding 6'6", 234 pounds. Drafted in the 7th round of 2023, Man is a giant among the skill players of the 21st century. For his size, he moves well and has an offensive skill set that is being developed. Very much a project with high reward value. With potential offensive upside. So Matto Man, I remember when the Flyers selected him and they called out his dimensions and you saw him backstage. I was like, are you kidding me? This dude's huge. One of the things that a player like that really needs, and I know a lot of players like that. I personally know one of them in the NHL who's built a lot like Matto Man. They really need to develop something and I want to be very careful. I don't want to say an offense. Of course, they got to develop an offensive game, but there's got to be into their offensive game that NHL teams covet. Because at 6'6", 234, I mean, his job is going to be one thing and one thing only, or two things, I should say: keep the front of the net clean and blow everybody up that's skating around, right? But you got to also make yourself valuable to the team offensively. So they got to figure something out offensively now, whether that be stick handling, whether that be passing, whether that be skating, whatever that might be. He's got to find a offensive niche about him if he ever wants to see the NHL. If not, he's going to probably be a career AHLer, bounce around from organization to organization. But he's definitely got a potential. He's a project guy. The Flyers are going to have to do some work with him. Is he a long shot to make the NHL? Yeah, he's a long shot. But is he a no shot to make the NHL? No, I definitely think he has a chance. But he's got to develop something unique about his offensive game in order for him to stick. And just his size and his weight are imposing and impressive enough, and they will do their job. But there's got to be something else to his game to warrant a spot on a 23-man game day roster. So, so far for Matto, this season with the St. John's Sea Dogs. That's an awesome name, by the way. Where's his numbers that I just saw him? Where is he? I was just looking at it. Where the hell did it go? 24 games, 5 goals, 5 assists for 10 points, and a very positive +6. So they're scoring when he's on the ice. So that's good. But there you have it. Your prospect of the night for your of the night segment. Flyers right-hand defenseman, Matto man. And there you are. Of the night segment. Barbara says, I thought we would get something done during these meetings. Yeah, we can't, Barbara. We can't run it back, man. Wow, that man guy is huge. I hope he develops. Yeah, so do I, Barbara. 6'6" and 234. And that puts him out probably at about 6'8" on skates. So that's pretty big. All right, let's get to our final segment of the evening and my favorite segment, 100% favorite segment. You guys already know what this one is. There we go. Let's roll it. Let's roll it. Let's roll it. Let's roll it.
Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. What? Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
All right, that's right. It's our MattyB card review segment. This is the part of the show where I take a sports card from my very vast sports card collection, spend a few minutes talking about it. Some of these cards have some financial value. Some of these cards have some nostalgic value. Some of these cards have just intrinsic value. And it's nostalgia. It's fun. Sports card collecting has always been a very near and dear thing to me. And just recently I got back into it and was able to get all my cards organized. And now we're going to spend some time just talking about it and having some fun. We handle all 4 majors, hockey, basketball, football, and baseball. Tonight, we're hitting the hardwood. We're going back to the hardwood. Don't give basketball that much love. But tonight, we're going back to basketball with a 1996 NBA Honor Roll card of...
The person that's complaining.
Oh, Brandon Graham. We're not doing Brandon Graham. Where is it? Not doing Brandon Graham tonight. Of Sir Charles. That's right. Charles Barkley's 1996 his 1996 Fleer Skybox Honor Roll card number 268 in that collection, sporting the old school Phoenix, or the new old school Phoenix Suns uniforms right after we traded him out there to Phoenix. This card is not what you would call a financial windfall. It goes from anywhere between $3 to $7, depending on what shape of your card is. I wasn't able to find any of these cards graded online, so I can't give you a PSA value of these cards. But he's a Hall of Famer. What are you going to say about that? And he's a Sixer. So as you can see, he's pictured in a Sixers uniform in the back. I have multiple Barkley cards. I have his 87 Fleer that I think we did on an earlier show already. So this is the 96 Honor Roll Charles Barkley Fleer Skybox, max value at about $3. So obviously, the value of this card has for me is the fact that it's Charles Barkley, and here it is in its physical form. Pretty good cards in really good shape. Again, all my cards are raw. Most of them are. I could probably get $3 for this card, but yeah, there you have it. Tonight's MattyB's card on the 96 honor roll Charles Barkley Skybox Fleer card. Again, not one of my more, I'm not going to corner the market with the 96 Barkley honor roll card, but it's a fun card anyway. It's a very fun card. I love your card. Oh, thank you, Barbara. Thank you. I would have thought Barkley card would be worth more, I guess, to differ from year to year. Yeah, his 87 Fleer, which is about, I think, his third year in the league, it's worth like $60. His rookie card is worth pretty good. His actual rookie card, if you can find that, back in the old wax era. But that card, yeah, it's more nostalgic than anything else. I have actually cards of him in all, he was with Sixers, Suns, and the Rockets. I have all those cards, so it's good to have him in every uniform. All right, I guess that's going to do it for me here tonight, folks. I want to thank everybody for coming out. And again, this show, if you have a homer or if you're a homer, or if you know a homer and you have a homer in your life, I hope that I was able to lend a little peace to your evening. And that's because that's what the show was designed to do tonight, was to kind of assuage some of the feelings you might be having about your football team right now. And that's okay. At the bottom line, at the end of the day, it's okay if A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are not best friends. And it's okay if we are not this fairy tale franchise that everything is right and everybody is kumbaya and everybody is best friends. It's okay if that's the case. It doesn't have to be like that, and we can still win. It's also okay if you don't have an elite quarterback. But I fear that we're not going to learn the lessons, and that now that this came out, we're going to try to make our quarterback elite. And that's where it might come back to hurt this team. So I hope I was able to provide a little solace, a little peace, a little reality, a little perspective as I came on the show under the weather. You have no idea how sick I am right now, but I came on for you tonight, you, the homers of Philadelphia, to reach out to you, to extend that olive branch from your biggest supporter, MattyB, because I am concerned about your time, about your mental health this close to the holidays. Talked about that. We went into the A.J. Brown, Brandon Graham, Jalen Hurts love triangle a little bit, and then spent most of our time talking about that. And then we also spent the rest of our time talking about some MLB hot stuff moves. The of the night segment, which was Mato Man, the hawking right-handed defenseman, and our card of the night, which was the 96 Barkley honor roll card. All that was rolled into one fine 1 hour and 14 minutes. Barbara says, "Yep, just win Super Bowls," and she says, "Have a great night, Barbara. Thank you for joining us." So we rolled all that into 1 hour and 14 minutes, and now we say goodbye for the week, right? Because tomorrow, I'll be back tomorrow night. Tomorrow's Thursday, right? Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow night. Busy day in the network tomorrow. Make sure at 4:15 you're here for the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn. Immediately following that, after the Flyers game, immediately following the Flyers game, Sal has you with Clear the Ice. And then right after that, I'm back with the final episode of the week for the final word with MattyB. So until we talk again tomorrow, you guys have a great night. Have a great rest of your night. And even better, remember, if you have a homer in your life, hug them tight, hug them long, and tell them that you love them. They need you tonight. Good night, everybody.
I'll be coming up hot for a minute. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Drop the top when I'm in it. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Yeah, I feel so pure. Everybody know I'm you know when the click through. The send is about to be a trophy.